Pietro, thank you so much for being here. I think we can officially say that winter is over, so it's a good time
It's
now in
fine.
Montreal.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. This winter was tough. The other one was better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good. So I'm gonna tell you a bit about the how this discussion is going to go. So first, we want to focus on you. So what
yeah.
got you into the entrepreneurial world? And then we want to talk about the companies that you've built. You've built more than one. So I want to talk a bit about that, how you got started, what's the vision for these companies. And then we want to end this with the ecosystem around you. Talk a bit about starting businesses in Canada or in Quebec specifically. I would love to know more if this is an asset, is this a liability, is this hurting you, helping you? I want to talk about all this. So let's get started with a quick introduction of you, Pietro. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name is Pietro Kabeya. I'm known as the founder of FairVet, which is my main startup. So I've been doing startup and business for over a decade this year. It's been since 2015. That was my first try at building a business. So ever since, I haven't stopped.
Would you call yourself a serial entrepreneur?
Yes, I am. I
Yeah.
am. I've built multiple businesses.
So did you know growing up that this was the path you were going to take? Because a lot of us always dream about a job, a position, but we don't necessarily, especially 10 years ago, people didn't really dream of becoming entrepreneurs the same way they are today. So what got you into this world?
So myself, both of my parents were entrepreneurs, right?
Okay.
So I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, and at that point, like, yes, they told me go to school, follow every step, find yourself a good job, a safe path. But I always wished that I had a similar life to them, right? Because especially when it comes to time, I love that they were able to time manage when they want to go on vacation, when they want to spend time with us, and that was one of the things that always got me like thinking, okay, I have to be an entrepreneur in my life. And ever since I was thinking about it, it's just it. I went to school, followed the process of everyone, but I remember even in school, the teacher were asking me like, "You're here, you're doing everything, but you don't seem like you're motivated, right? You seem like you're just going through the process. What are you going to do after?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And in my head, I was like, I need to find a business. And
Were you considered like an A student, a hardworking, best, trying to get the best grades? Is that who you were?
um, I feel like when it comes to school, I was I always did what I would if I told myself, okay, you need a 70 for 70 here, it's in 70%, 70% for to pass this class, then I'm going to get the 70 or 75%, right? Uh, because in school, the only thing is I always thought I didn't find my path in school, right? Um, I wish I would have been more motivated. It was just I was just going through the process, right? Because my mother told me you have to stay in school, you have to get a degree. That's it. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of these conversations, and people always say that, and people who've succeeded, they always say that back in school, I just did what interested me. I always did what I found interesting, and they turned out okay. They might not have been the best across the board, but they did okay. So do you
Yeah.
think, brings us to the topic of passion, do you think you followed your passion and to get started in this entrepreneurial journey?
So In my last year in school, I remember I just bought there was the self-balancing board, the Hoover skate that was really popular, that started getting popular early 2015, right? So there were a few people. I saw one guy in the street. He was riding around with that self-balancing board, and I was like, "Oh my God, I need it!" And I was watching online. There were a few superstars that had it, like
Mm, yeah.
rappers or TV personality. And I had a contact back in China, and all of them were being built in China. So I was like, I need myself and my uncle. He was based in China, so I told him, um, "Can you help me out and get me one of those self-balancing board?" And I got it just to play around with it.
Mm,
Um, I was playing around across the city, and people were stopping me, like, "Where are you renting it? Where are you renting?" And I was sort of like becoming a star in the city because there were me and another guy, right?
yeah.
And then while being stopped by all these people, I told myself, hmm, they all want to rent it. Why don't I just create the business? And I start searching online for a business model, right, to build it. Zero business model. It was so early. So I was like, it's good for me. It's good for me.
Mm.
I went, ordered 10 of them, started building like a business plan and even building instruction on how to train people in less than 5 minutes, right?
But Pietro, was that intimidating, not seeing anyone doing it, or was that instantly an opportunity from your perspective?
That's the first time I think I found my path, right? My path in like building stuff that doesn't exist and being passionate about it. People were like, it doesn't exist. Like, how are you going to train
Yeah.
people? And it's something that even myself, it took some time to learn. I had a few bump and bruises, but just the passion of telling myself, okay, people are going to use it in less than 5 minutes, are going to learn in less than 5 minutes. That was the passion on building everything. And then I was able in less than a month to build the business completely. And we rented, me and my fiance, we rented a small office at the Old Port of Montreal. And I was so lucky because Old Port usually cost a lot. I rented in an office. And so people were coming in the office. They were going up, taking the stairs. That's where my office was. And I got lucky. I found an office at $500, which was a tiny office, but at least we were at the Old Port.
Wow. And this was which year?
2015.
Wow.
And
That's crazy.
that was my breakthrough. And yes, it got us media coverage. We got media coverage. We were the talk of the city, of course, because we were the first rental in North America. So people that wanted to do the business were getting in contact with me, like, can you help me build the same business model as you build for your business? So yeah, that was the first experience.
Peter, that was such an interesting story. I have so many questions here. You mentioned China. Have you traveled a bit in your earlier days?
Yeah.
Because I feel like people who have traveled have a different perspective of things, life, business. Can you tell me if this affected you in any way?
Yeah, as I said, my mom, as well as my dad, both were entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
s- my mom was always going to China. So at certain
Mm,
point, she brought me there. We stayed the full summer while she was planning stuff over there. So yeah, that's when I found out that wow, okay, because we were staying in Guangzhou, which is and mostly industrial, where people go there just to buy a product and ship it to different places in the world. So yeah, very young. I was I think 16 or 17 around that, but
wow.
it
Mm,
opened my eyes just seeing like everything. that was going on. So yeah, that's where I knew, okay, I had to get in contact with someone from China and
Mm.
and start ordering stuff.
Sometimes people have an opportunity hit them in the face, but they still can't see it. I mean,
Yeah,
even though your parents were entrepreneurs, even though you've traveled, it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that anyone who took your path would have acted the same way. So do
yeah.
you think there was something inside you that maybe the first time you started your business, you were like, I will never go back to a 9 to 5. I cannot do anything else.
Yes, I think I always tell people that when I was young, right, I used to see a lot of people following their passion, right? I used to see like I have one good friend that was good in playing soccer, right? Football. He was very good when we were young, and he was following his passion. One of my friend was good in basketball. He was following his passion. He had scholarship. They both had scholarship. And myself, like I tried football,
Yeah.
not good enough. Tried basketball, not good enough. I tried acting. I always thought thought myself like I was okay, but I couldn't call myself talented like them, right? I always thought they were talented. I was just okay. Okay.
Mm.
I was just going through the and by doing once I got a taste of being an entrepreneur, that's the first time that I find myself like thinking of myself, okay, you're above good. You're talented in what you're doing right now, right?
So what they felt
Because
with football and basketball, you felt with
yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah, I felt it, but people were telling me, right? It's
So
you
you got
that
the
did
validation.
it. Yeah, you did it, okay, all by yourself, or you did this. How come, like, how fast did you do it? And at that moment, I felt validated as a person, right? That was the first moment in my life I was like, okay, I finally found myself while doing that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Pietro, I think now's the time to talk a bit about what you're building. I want to talk about FairVet. I want you to describe it, why you started it. Maybe start from the very beginning. Like, how did you come up with the name? How did you see this need? Tell me the story.
So, FairVet, it's I would call it my baby and my most passionate project yet, right? I do have different projects, but this is personal. And so I have a dog, right? My dog, I have him since 2013.
Mm,
Um, as I always say, he's been my loyal companion, right? Through the ups and downs. But one day he swallowed a foreign object.
mm,
And as anyone who has a pet knows that when your dog has an emergency, you don't know how much you're going to pay when you go to the vet. So I went to a certain vet that they wanted to charge me $5,000 for the surgery. But the problem was that it was totally out of my budget at the current moment. Uh, I was taken off guard, so I went back home, started doing some research. Okay, it should be easy to find a cheaper vet, right? And the vet told me at that moment, like, okay, your dog is going to die, right? You
yeah.
have 24 hours to decide, or he's going to die, promise you.
Wow.
So I started searching online. I was like, okay, let me search online. Let me either call. So there was a few options: call a vet, call vets around the city, or go door to door, or search on Google like a low cost vet or uh, things like affordable vet. And I started doing some research. First of all, I was searching online, couldn't find any price, any upfront price for the service I was looking for. So I was like, okay, I can't go door to door 24 hours. It's way too complicated. So then I started calling vet clinics, waiting on different lines, very stressed. I was able to speak to one vet clinic for the full day. One vet clinic that gave me like I was able to speak to some, but they couldn't even provide me like an estimation of the which was just a foreign object, a surgery, right? I already did the X-ray and everything, so it
So
was
what
just a
what
surgery.
were they saying, Pietro? What were they saying?
Oh no, you need to we can't give it the price on the phone. So a lot of I would say politics, right? Oh, we can give
Mm,
it through the phone. And one of the clinic were like, okay, 1,500 for the surgery. Come in tomorrow. Come in tomorrow, then we can have a surgery on your pet. Yes, I was lucky, right? I was able to find that surgery. But after that experience, I was talking to a friend, an old friend that I had back in the days. It's already back in the days, like 4 years ago, when it happened. So I was like, then there must be an app, right? Because I was stressed, I was like, okay, maybe I didn't properly search online for the app because I was
mm.
so stressed. I had limited time. So I was like, let me go back home and find this app and keep it in my phone in case an emergency happens in the future. Start searching for that app, that potential FairVet app. Couldn't find it. And I had a conversation with a few people, and then I was like, there must be an app about this problem. I was searching like millions of pet owners, just like myself, were going through the same situation, and then I found out that the problem, like unexpected vet bill, every 6 seconds, a pet owner faces an unexpected vet bill of $1,000 or more. But how can they make a quick decision, right? And it's especially budgeting before going. And yeah, and that's when I was like, I need to do something about it. That's when the process of building FairVet started.
Pietro, that's I can relate to this so much. I have three dogs, and one of my dogs, when he was a puppy, he was about 8, 9 months old. He got really
Yeah,
sick,
yeah,
and I went through the practically the exact same situation. I just knew one vet who used to do the, basic trimming and helping
yeah,
with the nails and stuff like that. But when he got sick, that same vet, it wasn't about the price. He just told me I'm unavailable, and I had no idea where to go. And all the other vets had just bookings, and no one took it seriously because as a pet owner to you, it's not just a dog, it's a member of the family, especially
exactly.
if it's super important. So just seeing
Yeah,
people treat it like a number, as in come back in a few weeks, even though you know that it's critical, it's just it's such a difficult position. And your position when someone's telling you, come to me or he's gonna die the next day,
yeah,
this is terrible. This is emotional blackmail.
yeah,
It's horrible.
exactly. Especially when you don't have that amount, right? It's
Yeah.
like you're stranded, right? Because you don't have that amount. It's either you go and go get financing, but it's usually when you're desperate like this, the finance that you're going to take, it's not always good, right? You're going to use a certain amount either on your credit card, and then you still have to pay a lot of interest, right?
Mm.
Towards paying it back. So yes, I'm all for having a pet insurance, right? I'm all for having pet insurance, but even pet insurance, you need you want to spend an amount that you're comfortable with, right?
Mm.
You want to spend, you always want to spend something you're comfortable with. One of the things that bugged me was that if you want to buy clothes or you want to go eat, um, you know a difference between like going to eat at McDonald's and going to eat at a fancy restaurant,
Hmm.
right? So if you have $20, you will never go to a fancy restaurant.
Correct.
So why is it not the same if your budget doesn't fit a vet clinic or a vet hospital that's more in the high end of cost? Then at least you get the chance to decide, okay, this fits my budget at the current moment, right? It's
Mhm.
not high end, but it fits my budget. At least it will help my pet survive.
So Pietro, how does it work exactly? Let's say I have an emergency. What happens?
Yeah. So FairVet, basically what we do, it's sort of like price comparison, like for hotels, right? We gather information. So one of the things while building the platform is that we saw that there were a lot of vet clinics, right, that were into price transparency. But finding them, it's hard, especially if you're looking for a specific city, right?
Mm,
So what we did, first of all, we scraped the internet, gathered all the upfront pricing in one platform. That got us over 12,000 services.
mhm,
And then and then we have pet owners that provide um, vet bills, right? So, for example, you go at a certain vet, you provide us vet bills. So what we do is we add the information. So we put it as an estimation of, okay, Antoine went to vet clinic A, Pietro went to vet clinic C. He paid $50 for an X-ray. He paid $100. So at least you're able to have an estimation, right? Before
mm.
going, okay, here it's $100. Over there, it's $500. So your budget fits with these clinics. And then you can see, because most of online, the thing is they give you an estimation, but they give you always a city estimation, right? So for example, they will say Montreal, it's between $200 and $600. But it's not clear if
It's a
you
huge
go to
difference.
the, yeah, to go to the clinic that's $600, right? We are giving like this clinic A, the average cost here, it's $100, or the exact cost, it's $100. So we have different way we can provide the cost. It's either exact cost, either average cost, or an estimated cost on the
And
service. So
uh,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, so where do you operate? Because I know you're here in Montreal, but you've
so
scraped the internet.
yeah, so most of our clients, most of our users, I would say, are based in the US because we started the process in the US, but we do have Canadian users, right? It's just that the reason why I had to choose the US versus Canada, it's because the market is bigger and you want to establish yourself because since we are first to market, we want to establish ourselves in a big market, right? In the big market to be the go-to product in California and New York. That's where most of our users come from, right? If we get those amount of users already in those two states, then it's easier for us to come back to Canada with
Mhm.
more promotion and be acclimated
Yeah,
back
you'll have
home. Yeah,
brand recognition across those big
exactly,
cities. Yeah, that's
exactly. So yes, most of our users are I would say 85 to 90% are US based.
so that's really fascinating. And again, I mean, the idea is to me it makes a lot of sense because whenever you're in a tough situation and you do an emotional decision,
Yeah,
it's usually not the best decision, whichever circumstance you're talking
yeah,
about. Emotional
yeah,
decisions are not the best. But what I
yeah,
understand is that you're solving a problem that you faced. And do you think
yeah.
this is how um, Do you think this is how entrepreneurs that you've met, even your parents, is this how they approach their different businesses? They faced the problem and then they decided to fix it themselves?
I think when it comes to businesses, um, startup, I, I always suggest um, to have either a personal problem, right? It's I think the startups that are the best comes from a problem. That's from the experience that I saw, right? Either you work at a certain place and things are not going fast the way you want it to go, and then you think about a product that will make things faster, right? That will make the process faster. That's a good that's a good startup, right? Uh, I like forcing a startup. It's hard, right? Forcing building a startup just to make money because sometimes it's different than building just a small business, right? Because startup sometimes is okay, I'm building an app and people have to come in first, and
Hmm.
then I have to monetize after. Because sometimes it's hard, okay, people come in and then you monetize directly, right? Sometimes you're not even making a dime, right? So you have to stay motivated. So to stay motivated, sometimes you have to understand that the problem that you're solving, it's bigger than just the the dollars that are going to come in once the business is out, right? So you have to be very patient, and you have to make sure that you're passionate about because it's a hard process, right? You're going to get a lot of no's, a lot of pushbacks, and if you're not passionate about the problem, you're only passionate about the money, then you're going to ask yourself, like, why am I losing my time, right? Why?
At some point, you might lose
Yeah.
interest and you
Yes,
won't put effort into
exactly.
it. Mm.
Exactly. So business, like other businesses other than startup, yes, you can do it for if you see a way to make money or an
Mhm.
easier way to process it. I don't understand you can do it for money or you know how to leverage your way.
Mm.
But startup, I'm always into. You have to understand the problem. The problem has to be close to your heart if you want to stay focused in the process.
And if I want to switch to the Canadian market right now,
Yeah,
how do you see this growing? Because we do see a lot of startups kicking off in the big cities, Montreal, Toronto, even across Canada. How do you
yeah.
see the startup scene?
So there there are a lot of startups in Canada, and at first I wasn't really aware of the startup scene, but there's a big startup scene in especially Toronto, right? And Alberta, Calgary, they have a big startup scene over there, as well as Vancouver. Montreal, we are getting up there, but I wouldn't call us one of the biggest scene, right? But we do have the Startup Fest, which is one of, or I would even call it the biggest startup conference in Canada. That's one of the things. So, but yes, we are getting up there. When it comes, we don't have a Silicon Valley here in Canada, so it's
Yet.
different, right?
Mhm.
It's different for to raising funds, the ecosystem, angel investors. It's it's quite different. It's quite different, and of course, as well, when you're building a company here in Quebec, right? Especially if you're planning on focusing on the Quebec market, then you have as well to put French. You have to integrate French in your
Mhm.
product. So that's like another extra cost, right?
Yeah.
To translate the full product in a different language. So that's one of the challenges here in Quebec. It's you have bilingual, but in Canada, most of Canada, because they don't speak French, some of their product they are not in French, right? They are not in French. They just focus on the English version. But most of us, I would say, my other companies they are bilingual because I'm also focused on the Quebec market. So that's the biggest challenge I think, especially when you're in the Quebec market.
Pietro, if I want to end it with this, if you could give advice to people who want to start their own business, maybe they now work in a company and they have ideas, they've been wanting to jump into their own entrepreneurial journey, what would you tell them? What would be a piece of advice that helped you?
To believe to believe in so you have to find something that you believe in, right? Because leaving a secure job, right? Secure paycheck, you have to believe in what you're doing, right? You have to believe in what you're doing. Um, you first have to test it out first, right? Test it out and see if you're able, at least what we call product market fit, right? You're able to receive some kind of traction either by users or by dollars. Once you have that, you go,
Hmm.
you put a little bit of money, and then you have to believe in your product because no one else will believe in what you're doing, right? More than yourself.
Yeah.
So
Believe in
it's
yourself,
really,
believe in your product.
yeah,
Yes.
believe in yourself and believe in your product. That's,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Pietro, thank you so much. I would love to have another conversation with you down the line, maybe a few months,
yeah,
maybe a year, and see how
yeah.
this all turned out. This was really, really interesting. I
Thank
really
you.
love
Thank
what
you
you've
so
done.
much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And
All
you
right.
had some good questions. Looking
Sure.
forward to it. All right.
Awesome. See you around.